Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about my second year uni experience at UCL, and I'm going to go over some of the differences that I noticed between first and second year, and if I have any advice for you guys. Now this is going to be from like my own life experiences, so this doesn't apply to everyone, but I also obviously talk to my friends a lot, and this is kind of just the general vibe of second year. And I distinctly remember before second year talking to one of the third years in Laidlaw, and she told me, oh yeah, like second year is the worst year, you really just have to push through it. And I remember some of the other third years agreeing with her, and I was really in denial at that time, let's just say, because I loved first year. Like, I'm not gonna lie, me and my friends talk about this a lot. Happiness might have peaked first term of first year. Like, you really had barely any work. I mean, and the work you were doing was interesting if you like your degree, you're socializing, you're living with all your friends in one little communal area, right? So I'm like, the only reason why I can imagine second year being worse is maybe if the workload increases or if I don't get the classes that I want. That was really all I could think of. I don't want to scare anyone off second year because it's not like terrible, you know, it is not the worst. I'm just gonna say it is quite a mental jump between first and second year. You'll see first years around campus and you just know because they're full of life, optimism, energy that you once also had that you no longer have. So yeah, great intro. Firstly, I'm going to talk about academics. I'm a history student. For the most part in second year, your workload is going to increase, and I would say it's going to double. So it's not a little small jump, you know. All of a sudden, you're going to find yourself in second term, hit deadline after deadline after deadline. I remember I had 1 week, and I'm not sure why they organized it like that. I remember one of my tutors saying they might change this for history anyways, but we had a solid week where it was half of all of our deadlines were due that week for the year. That was the week that I spent every single night in the student center. I was there from normally like 12-14 hours. I would say 12-14 hours a day, but I was there 12-14 hours overnight. So I would get there 6 p.m., eat my dinner, start working, you know, start jamming out those essays, and then I would leave maybe 8 a.m. I think the latest I left was maybe 10 a.m. because I had a meeting with my professor, so I just stayed there longer because I was like, why go back and sleep when the history department is right next to student center? That was an interesting time of life. It actually was longer than a week. I think it was like a week and a half because I had to EC one of my deadlines. You know, it's really different from first year because I would say that I learned how to do my work a lot more effectively. I remember in first year I would need like 2 weeks, like 1 week to research, 1 week to write, and you know, maybe that's how I should have done it this year, but it's really time consuming to do it that way, especially because you still have, you know, just regular readings to do, regular other things to do in life. Let's just say this year I got really good at doing essays in a 4-day time period, 2 days to research and then 2 days to write. I don't know, maybe for some people that's not like that crazy, but I find that I'm kind of a slow writer because I really like to make sure that everything is flowing and the sentences are what I want them to say, like when I initially write them, rather than going back and editing them to be how I want them to be. Writing can be a bit slow for me, and let's just say doing, you know, my 2,500 words in 2 days was quite a jump from last year where I gave myself like 7+ days to write that. This year really forces you to become effective at doing work and to really cut down to the core of what you need to do and just get that done. I would say that also as a whole, I feel like I really understand my degree a lot more. If you're taking history, so this is just for history people, I suppose, you're doing a lot more with history. You're expected to understand, this took me so long to grasp, problematize the question. I feel like it sounds simple, but it took me a while to figure out exactly how to do that, like how to write that down. But then this year I'm like, okay, wait, I understand how to structure my essays now. I understand how to include historiography, how to include my own argument, what I'm contributing. I think an important lesson for history students, and I know they told us this in approaching history in first year, when you're writing these essays, I try to have the mindset of like, you are a historian, you know? Like, this isn't a student paper anymore that you're trying to write for your professor. I mean, it is, but like, you're actually trying to create an original piece of work, hopefully, that has historiography, you know, problematizes the question, includes your research, primary, secondary sources, you know, you got your whole shebang. You're actually trying to make a little contribution to history. Second year, I really tried to hone in on that, really focus on the aspect that you're a historian now. You are making a contribution to history and your essay needs to reflect that. That being said, the deadlines made this a little tricky. Last year, I pretty much lingered around like the high 2-1 first area. This year, wow, that range really expanded. I've gotten my highest grade this year and I've gotten my lowest grade this year. Like, as in overall in my history career at UCL. I think first year I scored mostly between 68 and 71, and then going into second year I was like, okay, you know what, I kind of know what I'm doing now. I think I kind of understand what is expected of me and how I should be going about this. This year I got my lowest grade on a coursework, which was a 65, but then my highest grade on a coursework, which was a 75. And I'm gonna say that range was because of a lack of time on the lower end and just an overall deeper understanding on my degree and how to research on the higher end of things. As of now, I mean, my exam scores aren't, I'm not even done with exams actually, but as of now, not everything is like totaled up, but I think I'm going to get a first this year. For you history people out there, I will just quickly go through what my schedule was, and I'm going to give you a pro and con of every class, just in case, you know, you're looking at the module list and maybe you want some advice. Survey modules. First years, you guys are used to this. It's the same list from the previous year. You just take a different one. I took Empires of Eurasia. I would say my pro for this class is that very interesting concept and historiography wise. I would say that a con of this class is that the workload feels intense maybe for a first year class. I think the tutor for this class has a lot of expectations on their students, which I wouldn't say is a bad thing. I would take this class if you are really ready to do a lot of prep work, not just your readings, but group work was expected, writing sample paragraphs, that kind of stuff. So I would say that was a really interesting class conceptually, and yeah. Next, I'm going to be talking about my advanced seminar and my interdepartmental. I took art history in London prior to 1600 as my interdepartmental. That class was cool because you get to go to different museums in London, but also you can do that on your own. Looking back, I really wish I could have taken this documentary filmmaking class because I feel like that's very practical, and obviously I like doing YouTube and videos. One big tip, you guys, is that for your third year you cannot take just any class anymore. In the past, for your interdepartmentals, you can take anything that is offered to you, but in your third year you can't take like a below a grade 4, I think, class. So I cannot take documentary filmmaking anymore, which was very, very sad. My advanced seminar, I took intellectual design, a whole class about the intersection between science and theology and like that kind of stuff in the early modern period in Europe. Pros, personally I found it very interesting. Has quite a lot of philosophy in it as well, I would say. I wasn't really that interested in intellectual history before taking this class because, I don't know, it always felt kind of a little pretentious to me. This class really made me appreciate and enjoy intellectual history, which is kind of, if you don't know, trying to get into the heads, into the thought process of people from a certain time period. What was the con of that class? I don't know, I feel like they were really mostly just pros. I really like the tutor for that class. Also, he films lectures for you guys, which is like not a normal thing for advanced seminars, but I found that quite helpful as well. Yeah, I can't really think of any cons. I mean, this module was also just half a year, so it was just like a fun module to do. So the next 30 credits are going to be my thematic, Feast, Fast, and Famine, intercollegiate module at Royal Holloway. Pro, the teacher, the tutor, very, very nice. I thought the readings were quite interesting, of course. I mean, you're talking about food in the Middle Ages, like, already a pretty interesting topic. Con, it's not with the class, it's about the commute. Let me tell you, it took me about an hour and a half to get to class. You don't want to hear this, but 10 minutes to walk to the station, 15-20 minutes on the tube, 40-50 minutes on the train, 20 minutes to walk from the train station to the actual university. A long time. That took my entire Thursday, let me tell you. I actually think it was worth it because that was, I think, my favorite class from the year. Looking at food as a historian and like kind of the social, political, economic, so many implications in food, and it's so integral to our daily lives, so it was really cool to talk about that. And then my last class brings us to 120 credits, was Modern China, May 4th Revolution. Yeah, that's what I wrote my like mini thesis, mini dissertation, I guess you could say. It's 5,000 words this year, next year is 10,000. That was actually one of the easiest things to write for me, even though it was like 5,000 words, which I thought I was gonna struggle with. I did so much research prior to this that it all was quite fluid when I wrote, and I just had to go back and do like, you know, quite a few edits, but that's normal. Saying this tutor is also very, very nice. I totally recommend her as well, and I really hope I can take my dissertation subject next year with her. I think one thing that is really important that a lot of me and my fellow second years I think maybe struggled with at points was attendance. Everyone's kind of living farther away now because we're not in student accommodation. Those 9 a.m.s, man, they really get you, and I just want to like really emphasize that attendance is super important. Not just to understand the content, but to develop relationships with your professors and mental health as well, because you feel guilty when you miss a class. So I would really say that prioritize attendance, even if you're tired and you don't want to go. Do yourself a favor and just go. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about social life. I think one of the biggest things for me was that I had a lot of friends in my accommodation in first year. So my like social hub was basically my accommodation. A lot of my friends and I look like quite nostalgically back on living in Campbell East. If that's where you guys live, that's where we lived first year. We all lived together. I would say one of the main cons of UCL, there actually is a lack of community. And I remember my friends do psychology. They do like surveys and ask how people thought of the culture and community at UCL. And a lot of the responses were like kind of sad. Student center, Jeremy Bentham, Scala, you know, Scala. I would say like that's like maybe the community of UCL outside of, I guess, like smaller societies. Freshers Week is always a really fun time because this is a time when everyone's on campus. There's like, you know, the fair, there's events going on in the front quad. You can really feel like the uni atmosphere, and I think that's just one of the nicest times to be on campus. But then throughout the rest of the year, that's just kind of just non-existent. Kind of trade in London for like, I guess, that community life. I would say this is definitely a UCL specific thing. One of the main things I kind of disliked about second year was that most of our social interactions or like social activities, I think with my friends, we were just studying together. Once in a blue moon would we go out and do things together. It was mostly just, hey, are you going to student center today? Are you going to main library or science library? Let's meet up, let's study together. Are you going to print room cafe? Okay, cool, let's study together. Like, it was basically 99% of our social interactions were just, hey, let's study together because we have deadlines and we do not have time to go out. Of course, that doesn't mean that like we didn't do anything out, but I think from first year it was like quite a drop down. Some other cool like side things to mention, I guess, about my experience this year. So I got accepted to be a volunteer at the UCL museum. Yeah, volunteering in those was really cool because, of course, as a history student, you know, going into uni, I was like, I want to be a curator. I want to be a curator and I want to work in a museum. And that was kind of like my vague thought process for a career. I think one thing about UCL and maybe London unis is that you're forced to be a lot more of an adult than in other universities. I think in other universities you're in a total bubble, slowly transitioning to adulthood. Here though, London, you're still kind of in a, you know, uni bubble. You're also in a city and you have to move out. You have to find your own place in second year. You have to do all these adult things. You have to figure out your utilities. I don't know, it just feels like you're kind of forced into adulthood a lot faster than in other situations. I mean, yeah, like I never had catered food or anything like that. I'm cooking for myself. Like, it just feels like all the maybe adult things that you kind of start to figure out in uni, or even when you're done with uni, is like we all had to figure that out this year, basically. Like a little taste of first year, and then second year you're completely feels like on your own in a way. And that's why it's really important to go to class, because that is like, you know, your main ties to your university and your community, your, you know, whatever community you have in uni. Now we get to get into the lovely story of my failed study abroad experience. And I don't mean like study abroad as in US to UK. I mean UCL study abroad applications and the program. Buckle up, guys, buckle up. It's gonna be a fun one. For a really long time, I was interested in Japanese history. I wrote my personal statement centered in the Edo period, so I guess you could say late medieval to early modern Japanese history. I really wanted to go to Japan for my study abroad. My initial degree program here was history with a year abroad, so that was always the plan, right? I remember before even applying, I specifically looked at the study abroad universities that were available. UCL's history program at the time had two, one at Waseda, which is in Tokyo, one at Kyoto, and I was like great. I would love to apply to those and spend a year in Japan and study Japanese history. Like, that would be a dream. Second year, right? This is when you apply to your study abroad. Don't make the mistakes I did, guys. This is the learning process, right? The study abroad program was holding talks about advice on how to apply, on what it was like to be a study abroad student, and I went to one of those. And I remember the study abroad coordinator said, don't apply to a university if you aren't willing to actually go there, because if you are accepted and offered a place, either at your first, second, or third choice, you should feel morally obligated to take that choice, because if you don't accept it, there's not a wait list, it doesn't go to the next student. I remember hearing this and being like, well, I really only want to go to Japan, right? I feel like it wouldn't really make sense for me to go somewhere that I didn't really want to go. I want to emphasize that there are a ton of other places I would have loved to study and that would have actually been relevant to what I was interested in studying. I would have loved to go to Vienna, or I would have loved to go to somewhere in Italy, and I would have loved to study history in Germany, but because, I guess, Brexit? I don't know. There's like 2 European options. There are literally so many places, so many other universities I would have loved to have gone to, but the history list was like very heavily North American focused, and I'm from the US, like I wasn't gonna go back to the US. But that limited my options of schools that I wanted to apply to. Also, there weren't even 2 Japan options anymore. They cut it back so that there was only Waseda. So really now, there was only 1 university that I was really considering applying to. I remember during my application, her voice ringing back to me, don't apply to another university if you don't really want to go there. Oh, okay, but on the application, you couldn't just apply to 1, you had to apply to a minimum of 3. There's like a portion of the application where you just write down what your choices are, and then another portion where you have to actually like write why you want to go to these, and like there's set questions for each. I was like, okay, you know what, that's fine, like I have to put down a minimum of 3 here. I'll just put down the top one I want to go to, Waseda, and then 2 others. And then in the written part of the application, I'll just write down, oh, like I just put this down so I could complete the application, but I don't actually want to go here, like please don't give me a spot here. I know that if I get allocated a spot and I would just, you know, reject it because I wouldn't want to go there, that it wouldn't be given to another student who would want to go there. I don't know why. I thought I was doing the right thing. I really wanted to apply to Waseda. I really wanted to apply that university, and I had to put down at least 2 other options to complete that. And I thought like I was doing the right thing saying that these other 2, I just had to put them down. Like I don't really want to go there. That was a mistake. So I get rejected. Oh, I forgot to mention that there's centrally placed spots and there are history department placed spots. I just want to say that the history department side of study abroad is really great. It's just the central team, which like I guess I don't have beef with them. I thought that I had a really good application because my tutor used to be like one of the history department tutors in charge of the study abroad, and he read my application and he said that it was really good. And I don't know, I just felt really confident. Like I had done a lot of research into the university, and I don't know, I really imagined myself being there, and I really imagined myself doing like very well there. I feel like my application really conveyed that, of how I felt like studying abroad here was really going to be a really great step in my academic career and just like personal enrichment as well. I don't know, I don't think that's cocky to say, but I felt quite confident in it. Maybe it wasn't as good as I thought, but that's not the point of this rant, okay? The point of this rant is that when I got my rejection, and I was like in denial at first, I was like, how could this be? I emailed back and I was just like, hey, can you please tell me like why my application was rejected? The central study abroad coordinator responded to me. Let me just read this to you. When our assessors read your application, they noticed that you had not followed the application guidance given to you. Unfortunately, this impacted your overall score. Despite your fantastic research about Waseda, competition for this space was fierce, and I'm afraid that there were other strong applicants who were more qualified and had taken the time and effort to complete the application form in full. The fact that she kept saying like, oh, it was the fact that you didn't complete your application which impacted your score. That was basically the reason why you didn't get in. You didn't take the time and effort to complete your application. That felt like such a slap to the face for some reason. Me saying that I didn't want to go to the 2nd and 3rd university that I had to put on that form. You couldn't submit the form with only 1 option. I thought that I was doing the right thing by not taking that opportunity from another student and saying straight out in the application form, here's all the reasons why I want to go to Waseda, and for the other 2, sorry, I'm not actually interested in going there. I thought that was doing the right thing, and she basically told me like, no, that wasn't doing the right thing. Actually, you didn't take the time and effort to fill out the application. When, you know, if I knew that this was the case, I would have just BS my way. I would have just written good applications for the other 2 universities. I kind of responded because I was like, yo, what do you mean I didn't take the time and effort? Like, that's not the reason why I didn't do that. And then she responds, if you did not wish to study at more than one university, it was recommended during Go Abroad Week not to submit a central study abroad application. Basically, she told me if I only wanted to apply to one place, I basically shouldn't have applied, which doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why just applying to one university in the centrally abroad placement, whatever, wasn't even an option in the first place. Genuinely don't understand why I could not have just applied to the one university I wanted to go to, and if I was rejected, then fine, I'm rejected. But it just feels like in my application that I wasn't rejected because I was unqualified. It feels like I was just rejected because I didn't fill out the application like they wanted me to. You guys can tell me if you think you agree or disagree with me. So don't make the mistake that I did. If you're applying, apply to, you know, do exactly as the instructions tell you, because they're gonna hold it against you if you don't. Which, fair enough, I suppose. That was actually like such a big blow, I think, for my second year. I think that was definitely my biggest regret of second year, was that application. Wow, this video has suddenly gotten a bit depressing. So let's lighten things up a bit, please. There are a lot of things of second year that I really like, but I won't lie when I say that I'm glad that second year is over. I'm excited to start third year, so I feel like that is like what to take away from this video. I don't hate my degree. I definitely don't hate my degree. I still love my degree, and I still have a good social life, especially now that exams are ending. Guys, I am so excited. I'm gonna vlog. I'm gonna go crazy with the vlogs. You know how I said that every time you hung out with people during the school year, it's basically just studying? But like, once our exam's over, we are doing something every single day. I have already written stuff on our shared family calendar out there in the kitchen. We have stuff planned. It is going to be so much fun. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. I think my main takeaway is glad second year is over. Still very excited for third year, what third year has to bring. I'm now, you know, getting ready for summer. I have Laidlaw again this summer. I'm volunteering in Greece at a refugee wellness center. I'm also helping my Laidlaw professor again with research this year. That's also very exciting. I'm also going home for 2 weeks. I'm also gonna see Blackpink and Sabrina Carpenter. Like, there are so many things in life to look forward to. And yeah, I'm excited to just kind of like become rejuvenated. I can already feel it happening. It's kind of scary figuring out future plans, whether I apply to master's degrees, which programs I might apply to, if I should get a job, which is like actually crazy. I don't want you to be scared of second year because you could have like an amazing second year. I would just say prepare maybe a bit for like second year and like have some mental health goals, or I don't know, some socializing goals or society goals. Oh, societies. How did I forget to mention that? I will speed run through that real fast. One of my goals from first year was to get more involved in societies in second year, and I did that. I joined social volleyball. What else? Oh, I became vice president of Bubble Tea Society. My friends and I all became committee of Bubble Tea Society, which was really cool. Mango Lulu by the Alley is my new favorite bubble tea. Went to Art Society Life Drawing. Got really into drawing this year. I really want to do more with Art Society next year. There's so many things to look forward to, and I feel like second year might have just been a mildly gray spot in my overall uni experience. First year of uni, great. Second of uni, rough. Third year, get ready for me. It's gonna be great, okay? That's all I have to say in this video. Oh my god, wait, one last thing. I actually this year have had some people come up to me on campus saying that they like recognize me from YouTube, and I just think that's absolutely like the coolest thing ever. If you see me on campus, I might look depressed, but I'm not on the inside, okay? Come up and say hi, because I would love to say hi. As usual, if you guys have any questions, just let me know, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!